Hey everyone, excuse me. It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon here in Montreal. It would be July 29th. For those of you who haven't visited my blog or seen my YouTube channel before, my name is Derek Lloyden. I am a freelance writer. I work most for a website called nationofchange.org. You can find links to my work here on the blog, or just go to the site every week. I have a new story up, plus there's lots of other great news and views there, so I highly recommend checking it out. So for today's vlog, I wanted to do something on, most of us anyway, probably most of the people watching this have been dealing with a heat wave all summer. And there was a story in The Guardian on Friday titled "Extreme Global Weather is the Face of Climate Change, says leading scientist." Now, this should be a short video. I just want to go over some of the things that were in this article. I thought it was kind of scary. I don't know how much people out there have been reading about basically kind of what's been happening in the world in terms of environmental issues, but also I've been reading a lot lately that there's a lot of methane gas being released in the Arctic as the permafrost melts. Strange name, permafrost, when it's obviously not permanent, mostly due to the way we as humans live. So this methane gas that's being released is at an extreme rate, probably equal to the amount of fossil fuels being burnt. So what this means is, of course, this seems to be, at least according to some scientists, speeding up the rate at which the world is warming. And I think, even skepticism aside, I think we've definitely been feeling it this summer. And of course, I'm no expert on climate science, so I will leave it to the expert. His name's, I believe, Michael Mann, Professor Michael Mann, to explain some of what's going on to you. So, this article, by the way, appeared in The Guardian. I don't know if I mentioned that. It's a good, liberal UK paper. They sometimes go in directions that are a little bit centrist or to the right for me, but oftentimes, especially in terms of these issues or cultural issues, The Guardian is on point. So I much prefer The Independent, but I mean, it's just more towards my point of view, which is a more left-wing point of view. So just clearing that up and making sure that everyone's aware of where I'm coming from. The article begins: "The extreme heat waves and wildfires wreaking havoc around the globe are the face of climate change, which is now playing out in real time. Climate change has long been predicted to increase extreme weather incidents, and scientists are now confident these predictions are coming true. Scientists say the global warming has contributed to the scorching temperatures that have baked the UK and Northern Europe for weeks, as well as the Arctic Circle has had a heat wave. Greece, there's been massive wildfires in Greece. I don't know the exact number of dead, but it's terrifying to see flames around Athens. Of course, in California, over the weekend, 5 people have died thus far that I know of. 2 firefighters and a grandmother and her 2 grandchildren have fallen before these just ferocious wildfires. It seems as if it gets worse every year. So Professor Michael Mann of Penn State University and one of the world's most eminent climate scientists told The Guardian, "We literally would not have seen these extremes in the absence of climate change. The impacts of climate change are no longer subtle," he told The Guardian. "We are seeing them play out in real time, and what is happening this summer is a perfect example of that." He goes on to say, "We are seeing our predictions come true. As a scientist, that's reassuring, but as a citizen of planet Earth, it's very distressing to see that as it means that we have not taken the necessary action." So this is very early on, which the article notes, and so they will collect more data about what's been going on this summer over time, but the initial hypothesis is that this is really not good. The current heat wave has been caused by an extraordinary stalling of the jet stream wind, which usually funnels cool Atlantic weather over the continent being Europe in this case. This has left hot, dry air in place for 2 months, far longer than usual. The stalling of the northern hemisphere jet stream is being increasingly firmly linked to global warming, in particular to the rapid heating of the Arctic and resulting loss of sea ice. What Professor Mann says is, rather than asking if climate change is causing these events, we should be asking, is climate change impacting these events and making them more extreme? And we can say that we can say with great confidence that this is the case. He points out that the link between smoking tobacco and lung cancer is a statistical one, which does not prove every cancer was caused by smoking. But epidemiologists know that smoking greatly increases the risk. That is enough to say that for all practical purposes, there is a causal connection between smoking cigarettes and lung cancer, and it is the same with climate change. So, and this is one thing that, when you see kind of mainstream corporate news coverage of this issue, where their advertisers are often involved, we don't get to see the full science. We're given kind of, usually there's two people in a studio. One is someone who specializes in public speaking generally, who is on there is no such thing as climate change, or it's not man-made side, and then they're up against a scientist who often, I've written this before, he often will lack the charisma or the speaking ability to get across the science. After all, he's a scientist, not a public speaker. So I think, even though for myself, I must be honest, I smoke and these kind of things terrify me, I think the case that Mann makes is a very good one, and one that, should bear in mind when you run into climate skeptics in your own life. So other senior scientists agree the link is clear. Serious climate change is unfolding before our eyes, says Professor Rowan Sutton at the University of Reading. No one should be in the slightest surprised that we are seeing very serious heat waves and associated impacts in many parts of the world. It's not going off a cliff, to continue with Mann. It's like walking out into a minefield. So the argument it is too late to do something would be just like saying, I'm just going to keep walking. That would be absurd. You reverse course and get off that minefield as quick as you can. It really is a question of how bad it's going to get. And so with this, I'd like to say, through research we see, obviously burning of fossil fuels is a huge part of this, has a huge impact. There are things that we can do in our own lives to try and alleviate this. It would require pretty much all of us kind of agreeing to do these small things. One of them that I've been trying to do lately is to eat much less meat. I do believe that animal agriculture is a real major driver in this, and that because it's an industry with such power, whether it's here in Canada or in the United States or almost anywhere else in the world, it's an issue that we're not talking about, and I think it's an important one. But anyway, ending on that note, I hope everyone out there is doing well. I hope you're all trying to enjoy your lives, and I hope everyone who's watching this has a great day. So thanks very much for tuning in. Talk to you soon.